Your routines in life and business can either reward you or ruin you. And this is important. I've done several talks on this throughout the years and touched on it at very different angles. But one of the core fundamentals of this topic, if you will, that is extremely important for you to understand is that routines can either reward you or they can ruin you. All right. Any rituals that you have been actively engaged in, you have to examine. So examination, I would say, would be the primary focus in terms of being able to identify. So what I want to speak with you about during this time is repositioning your revenue routines for greater expansion and acceleration. And this is very important. Those of you who are in business for yourself, especially, you have to really not just discipline yourself, but you have to be awake and aware of when you need to pivot, when you need to pause, and when it's time to expand, when it's time to accelerate. If you are caught up in your lifestyle routines and your business routines, this can impact your revenue if you don't know exactly how you need to be showing up. Now, something that you've been doing consistently, and there are things within our lives and in our business for sure, that you need to have consistency around that. That's how we scale, sustain, maintain our success. But you have to do an examination. But is what you're doing, is it really serving you? Even if it served you at one point, is it still the routine that you need to be investing your time and energy in? Because if you don't make those proper shifts at the right time, you're going to plateau when it's time to really catapult in your profits. And that's because you've been so caught up in a routine, in the rituals, that you don't realize if they are really rewarding you or if they're actually ruining you. And there's a fine line in terms of discerning, because there are the things that you have to work at consistently, and the rewards pay off at a different time. We know in entrepreneurship or any money-making initiative that the process isn't linear. The journey is not a linear journey. So there are the times where you're putting in the hours and you're grinding, so to speak, or you are being diligent. And you believe that that is a routine that you need to be consistently in. But at the same time, again, you have to examine, even though this may be something that I know would be long term, in the present, for my revenue advantage, is working on this aspect working against me or for me? Or is there a way to simplify to possibly do both, but that still is going to require you to reposition your routines, to change it up? So even if you aren't stopping it, you have to reposition. So I'm going to share with you an example of my own experience. Now, most of you know I produce a lot of content, a lot of products, and that's a very chronic routine in a sense for the level of my e-commerce part of my business. But there are times when I have to be more focused on the expanded marketing initiatives versus just the continuation of producing certain products. All right. But I learned how to make some shifts before it would put me in a position where I've worked so much on this that I missed the opportunity and window to be actually expanding and catapulting and really accelerating. So what I started doing was deciding to reposition what I would do and create, yes, intensives. I've always been very focused on doing things in intensives, but even that had to change. I had to sort of lessen what I was doing in terms of a lot of my product development and focus more so on the production aspect and being able to put that out in a way where I could be showcasing more of the whole range of what I was doing versus some of what I was doing in my marketing already was showing a lot of my individual products. I needed to bring more of a full range of all of the products and things that I have in a marketplace initiative. So that took some adjustment because I was used to just showcasing things individually or let's say, a group of products that are related. And I still do that, but I had to make bringing more of my cohesive experiences to the market. So I had to start leaning into that and then ultimately make a shift where that was more of the major focus. And the reason for that is because my routines in terms of the way I was doing it, though it was good, it was not really expanding me the way that my business and even brand was ready to expand and catapult to really it made sense to show more of the full embodiment of me and my allness, being Majesty Almighty, right? And not showing so many categories in terms of individuality in those categories. Again, I still do that, but I had to make a significant shift. I also had to reposition how I was spending time on product development, picking seasons to do that and different segments instead of working on it constantly like along the way. I'm very impromptu in what I do. Even what I'm sharing with you now is impromptu. It's something that I felt guided to come forth and talk about. So I create content and products in that framework a lot. But I had to also reposition that to where even though I would get the initial idea around something, I would have to jot it down and then come back and address it at a later time instead of let me hit the Zoom recording, let me record this, let me do this, and then let me go load it up as a product and let me put it out there. So I had to reposition how I was doing that so I could leverage my time currency better. And for that to help me gain more clarity in terms of the next levels and next steps of how I needed to be showing up. All right. So it was about repositioning. And some of you're having to reposition some of the platforms that you've been on, that you've been marketing and advertising in a sense, putting your brand out there and spending a lot of time on those platforms. But there could be another platform that you need to be focused on, or maybe there's another aspect in your business. Some of you are busy marketing a lot, and that is your routine in a sense, but you actually might need to be creating some next level products. Or maybe if you're in coaching or so, you need to start enrolling people in a new program or some initiative that you have. Also, if your routine has been in doing one-on-one coaching, maybe you need to reposition and offer some VIP day intensives. All right? And do things in a more concentrated focus. You have to shift your routines as it relates to your revenue because your business is ready to expand and accelerate in a way that will probably put you in a completely different revenue bracket. Now, when I was leveling up more for my higher end advantage and magnate level, I definitely had to be disruptive in my routines and how I was showing up. Again, it's not that there was something so wrong with the positioning that I had. It just wasn't accurate for my alignment of affluence moving forward for this next phase because it was time to catapult to the next level of cash flow success. But being caught in certain routines and rituals definitely can ruin you in a sense because you can be marketing out of alignment, you can be creating out of alignment. Or what I mean by that, meaning the way that you are spending your time, you have to reposition those routines. And you have to make your routines work for you but not work for you in terms of I'm going to wrestle this to the ground and work it until it works for me. No, you have to, like anything, tweak and course correct. You have to reposition. You have to pivot. You have to make some shifts. Sometimes you need to step back. You need to give pause. You need to see what is the next way that you need to move forward, and what new routines can you establish? What new routines need to be embedded in your entrepreneurial framework, but even more so before your business, in your life? Because if your life routines and rituals, so to speak, are not aligned, then they may not be supporting your business either, because they work together like a hand in glove. And this is important. So you want to examine, as I mentioned, that's the primary word. You want to examine and then reposition what it is that you're doing, because most of you are not going to let go of certain routines or certain things. You're just not going to do it. Trust me, I know. I know it even for myself. There are certain things that are just not going to stop, but you can make them work for you, because it's not that they need to stop, it's that they need to be repositioned. They need a new realignment. And when we are creatures of habit, we can play to a default, and we don't need our defaults to do us in. So you don't want to play to a default of kind of being on autopilot. You need to be intentional. Certain things, as it relates to routine, sometimes you need to have a 30-day window focus of that and say, I'm in this ritual and routine for 30 days. And then I need to examine and see, what is the next level for me? Do I take this to the next level? Do I reposition this? Do I stop this altogether? You want to look at this in a very, how can I say it? You want to look at it from a holistic vantage point. Because when it comes to revenue to me is not just about just the currency aspect in terms of the finances. Again, I mentioned time currency and time stewardship. All of that is currency, how you're spending your time. Are you wasting your time in this area when you could be productively being more effective in this area? You know, where are you putting maybe all your eggs in one basket and you need to be diversifying? What routines, again, can ruin you? You need to get out ahead of this so that you don't have disruptions, and you know how to make the proper shifts, and also to be present with where the revenue is flowing. Where is it flowing? Where is it already flowing for you that maybe can be taken to the next level? Or what is another revenue stream or an opportunity that maybe can be carved out and created from your existing business idea? Or it could be something new altogether. So you want to be awake and aware. Or are your routines, as it relates to your revenue factor right now, are they rewarding you in the present, or could they be ruining you? Right? And again, even if it's something that is going to bring long rewards in the long term, in a sense, the long run, you have to look at how is it serving you now, and how can you not maybe invest so much time in that and be focused on your revenue expansion and acceleration while that is still in its process of gestation and incubation, while it's still in this process of evolving or cocooning, or however, it's in its building phases, development phases, or getting repositioned itself. So you reposition your revenue. You have to reposition your habits. It's something I teach in high-end, high-performance habits building. You've got to reposition what you're doing so that you can powerfully and profitably position yourself for your highest revenue expansion and bear fruit in every season. But again, looking at your routines and your rituals as it relates to your business dynamics and even your life, are they rewarding you, or are they potentially ruining you for the moment, right? So I'm going to encourage you to take time out and to be present with your life and with your business and see what is required in this season, at this phase, as it relates to the routines, the habits that you need to be developing. What new patterns do you need to be establishing? What are you going to be incorporating more into your experience? Or maybe pausing or lessening at this time. How does your life and business need to get repositioned? All right. So that is my empowerment for you, is to reposition your routines for revenue expansion and acceleration. And I'm wishing you the absolute best. Take care and much success and many blessings.